Let's watch a Fox News contributor shocking her co-host by going off script and criticizing Trump for his radical far-right MAGA picks in his cabinet, speaking what might be, honestly, some of the only truths their viewers got to hear for the entire day, with Fox largely being a propaganda network. So, of course, I've got to highlight this, and I've got the best parts ready, and we'll be back with some needed context after.
We know that there were 3 cases of adultery for Pete Hegseth, and it is relevant, and the reason why it's relevant is Article 134 of the UCMJ considers adultery against the military, which the Department of Defense is part of. You can't lead an entire organization and all these people if you can't lead by example. 1. 2, I am a rape victim, and I can tell you there's a reason 1 in 10 rapes go unreported. And it's very difficult for a woman to go in and have a rape kit done. It's physically, mentally, and emotionally very difficult to go through that process, as I have. And I can tell you that, just very personal in my deep core, somebody doesn't do that with their husband and their kids in the hotel, texting their husband. Somebody doesn't go into the hospital and subject herself to that. And I have to say, I as a woman and as a victim, I believe the victims.
See, it's kind of weird when you think about it. For MAGA, when it's a black person, it's all about making sure that they can live up to every single arbitrary standard that they personally have created whenever a black person gets any position of power. But when it's some white dude right-winger, they throw all these standards out when they clearly don't meet them. Like, who cares if it goes directly against their code of ethics anyway? Code of ethics have a liberal bias. It kind of just shows the hypocrisy right there. And the end part that she went into was powerful as well. I think that we should always trust the victims also. Trust and then verify. That is the most empathetic way to handle these things. And you can also follow a pattern of behavior with a lot of these people. If you've been accused of something multiple times by multiple people, odds are you've probably done that thing. I, for one, haven't had 20 something people accusing me of murder, right? Or you don't see a different celebrity every day getting accused of murder by 20 different people. So these things tracked a certain pattern of behavior where it's a certain kind of people who get these certain kind of accusations. And when you get enough of them for one person, I mean, again, you kind of have to believe these things. It's hard to think like 30 random people are coordinating together for this grand conspiracy. But I guess for MAGA, the party of Jewish space lasers, might be easy to believe. And again, there's no level of accepting accountability, because if they do, you know, what does that say about them when you talk about who Trump is and what he represents?
I'm still just reeling from the fact that I almost said ditto to Ben, because he and I will agree sometimes, but never 100%, but ditto. Look, there's only one man on Fox News, and I've been here 17 years, that shushed me on national television and told me he'd tell me when he could let me finish. And that was Matt Gaetz. So to answer your question, though, Howie, it's a trifecta here. I think there was, a sit down by the guy who, nominated him, the president-elect. I think there was a phone call, because 15 minutes after that phone call from CNN, hello, second allegation. And then third, you just got to look at the numbers. You don't have the votes.
And I know that Matt Gaetz rather forcefully dropped out already, but I think even that speaks to the larger message that I'm hoping to paint here of the kind of people that Trump is willing to put into these positions of power. It's these rich crony billionaires, insane war hawks, or slimy douchebags with endless allegations. I mean, his chief of staff is a war lobbyist. His Secretary of State was an Iraq war hawk. His Attorney General is a Qatar lobbyist. His Commerce Secretary is a billionaire Wall Street CEO, and a billionaire hedge fund manager is his Treasury Secretary, not to mention the richest man in the world being in control of cutting agencies and regulations and, stuff that he'll be able to use to help enriching himself and be able to cut more corners. I mean, he's really draining the swamp, though, isn't he? Right? And the only reason Gaetz isn't making it through is because he had too much baggage, and they realized the floodgates were about to open if Trump really forced his hand and tried to make this happen, and that it would probably probably be easiest optics wise if he just withdrew before any of this happened, with other allegations already being announced, with it seeming that the report was going to come through and be made public. This allowed him instead to escape the investigation in Congress as well, without it looking like he ran away, as ostensibly he resigned for a good reason, even though he then had to withdraw from that as well. But I think it's all part of this slimy sort of cabinet and dealings that Trump is involved in to kind of, help his buddy out and get him out of trouble when he's in a pickle.